Sarvani Samvaad, we bring different experts from various fields to talk about the issues that matters and affect your daily life. So we thought about bringing a psychologist, Dr. Nimisha, to talk about relationships. What is happening today is that so many people are really struggling, in their relationships. Struggling with having a good relationship, maintaining a healthy relationship with themselves as well as their partner. So I think this conversation is very important where we talk about how we should focus on relationships and what truly a good relationship constitutes. So let's begin this conversation. With us, we have Dr. Nimisha. Dr. Nimisha is a psychologist. She has more than 15 years of experience. She is a CBT specialist, and for that, she has earned a Commonwealth scholarship in 2003.
Thank you so much, Drishti and Sarvani, for having me, giving me this opportunity. Like you said, I am a psychologist and I have been trained in the clinical specialization. And I am a cognitive behavioral therapist. So I have a master's degree in CBT from UK. And I have been in practice for 15 years, also into teaching and research. So I have taught at various places like All India Institute of Medical Sciences and Jamia Millia Islamia University. And I am also associate professor in SGT University, Haryana. And I am the founder president of the Indian Association for CBT. And right now I am working on my own venture, which is Ascent Psycare. So I am the founder director. Yeah, that's me.
That's wonderful, ma'am. A lot of experience there. First of all, ma'am, my first question is why relationships make a core of our life, and do relationship are really important in our life? The romantic relationship, we're focusing on the romantic side of it. Do you think they are necessary for survival?
In psychology, it is said that human beings are a social animal, and everybody knows that all of us need relationships. Although, it's not that we are incomplete in any way in ourselves, but there are so many things which we derive from relationships. Also, most of us have a lot of emotional needs, right? Emotional and physical needs, which are satisfied by relationships. Another argument is that from the evolutionary perspective, if you see, human emotions and relationships are based on this mate selection hypothesis, right? So if you need a mate to reproduce in earlier times, that was the whole idea behind the evolutionary hypothesis. But we have, inbuilt connections in our brain which help us look for a potential partner. Right, so in that way then relationships are related with the survival, sort of.
I mean, you're saying that your relationships are important for survival. But now the question comes: what kind of relationship, and how to actually determine? Because right now we are having so many relationships, and now that we're focusing on romantic relationships, you see people going from one relationship to another relationship, looking for that perfect relationship. So, what according to you is the which constitute a healthy relationship?
Right. You see, like I said, we are not incomplete people, we are complete in ourselves, but at various points of life, there are various emotional needs, that one has to satisfy, also social needs. And relationships these days are being viewed as something which is required for you to complete yourself, and you are basically looking all the time for somebody who can satisfy you, make you happy, give you the things that the love and the attention, the care.
Say it like
Yes.
you, my
Yes.
other half. Yes.
So that is a erroneous hypothesis, The ideal relationship is something where two people are together and they share stuff. They share stuff and they grow together and they care for each other. It's not about draining the other person of everything that they have to fulfill what you need. And all your unfulfilled expectations have to be fulfilled by the other person, right? Also, the thing is that all of us keep growing. So it's that I am growing, you are growing, everybody is growing every day. So people run out of things to give and take. Yes. From relationships very quickly, and people don't have the patience to work. They just want immediate gratification. If I want love and attention, I want it right now, and I want you to be only giving it to me. Yes. If you don't, I'll move on to the next person.
Yes, definitely. I think we are in following the bandwagon where we just want to look for the perfect one, and we are looking. Some people say that it's like looking for a perfect chair. You sit on one and you understand if it's comfortable, and then if it's not comfortable, you move on to another. First of all, what would you think you should look for in a relationship when you're entering one? Are you looking forward to be in a romantic relationship with anyone? What do you think should be the focus, especially from a psychological point of view, that when we enter a relationship, what will be the key points that we need to look for?
See, the first thing is that if you are looking for a perfect relationship, there doesn't exist anything like that. So, first of all, you have to clear that in your head. Secondly, you need to ask yourself, what is it that you are looking for in a relationship, right? Is it some love and attention or care? Is it a social status? Or is it somebody for companionship? What is it that you are looking for, right? And then you have to understand that every relationship follows a certain pattern. So, usually it starts with an attraction. So there might be a physical attraction, there might be an emotional attraction, right? But that is the honeymoon period, as soon as the attraction bit, that phase is over and you start to get to know the person and they start to get to know you, that is the time that people want to move on instead of sticking around and seeing that better times are there to come. So if you're looking for a relationship, you have to definitely look for compatibility. Is what you're looking for, can the person provide that to you, and what are they looking for? All the time we are just thinking from our perspective that this is what I want, but what does the other person want? So if the other person is providing you care and attention and you become trying to make you feel special, you feel attached to that person, not knowing what the other person is all about.
Definitely, ma'am. I think we're looking for so much more for us that giving something in the relationship becomes a hustle there. First of all, now the corona time is there, pandemic is there. Relationship dynamics are changing. You know,
Right.
now the question arises. In the long distance relationship, it's very hard for you to provide that kind of care when you're distant. So how you think how we can navigate relationships in this time, and how the dynamics the pandemic has changed? Do you think there's a substantial difference than relationships of today or before pandemic started?
The pandemic situation has been difficult. It has been challenging because it was uncertain times. We didn't know when it would end, and we were not familiar with it. Whenever human beings are encountered with something which is unfamiliar, they go through all kind of mental stress reactions. But if you see it in one way, it is not really much different from usual. The only thing is that you cannot physically be with the person, right? But with the help of technology and so many gadgets that are available these days, if you have the right mindset, in CBT we look a lot at how people perceive things, how they perceive themselves and other people, and their whole attitude and emotions. So if you really want, long distance relationships can work very well. And there are documented cases of international relationships and people even after marriage staying apart and it working out very well. So it has to do with your entire expectations and the mindset behind long distance relationships. But if you are looking for comparison, that how it was before, now I don't have this, we can't meet, we can't hold hands, we can't exchange gifts. So if you keep focusing on what is not, then it can really be a source of stress and negativity.
People are always complaining of not finding the perfect one. So people are like, I am like this, I've been waiting for this partner to come up, my prince, my princess. We're looking for something like that. Any advice for people who are looking for this perfect gentleman or this lady to come into their life and make everything beautiful like we see in the movies? What do you have to say about that? People are waiting very patiently for love to enter in their life.
See, again, the thing is that there's a lot of illusion around love, a lot of social media, and the way that, we have been brought up listening to fairy tales and looking at Bollywood movies. We need to ask ourselves, how perfect are we? Are we a perfect person? Are we somebody's, prince and princess? Is there actually something like that? And relationships is not that you get a gift and a prince comes out. Relationships have to be worked on. It's not something that is given to you for some nice karmas that you have. It is something that needs to be worked on, and the other person is also a human being just like you, looking for the perfect partner, right? So two expectations meeting each other, and there's a whole lot of stress in the relationship. The better idea is to come up with a decent person, right, who is capable of loving and caring, and so are you, and let the relationship grow. Take it, in its phases. Take it one thing at a time, and don't have this pressure of expectations, that the relationship should be like this. Does this person fit this bill? Also, we are trying to include a lot of social factors. Is this person showering me with gifts? How are they making me feel? Are they sticking with me, or are they also looking around? What kind of thing is there? So much of media kind of pressure is there, so we don't even know what we are looking for, in fact, sometimes.
This before, I was talking to my friends, that I'm going to have a conversation with you on this topic. So they asked me, please do ask Dr. Nimisha that I get into a relationship, and everything is working out for a few months. It's wonderful, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's good, and but after some time, I lose interest. So this is a genuine problem that our generation is facing. We are losing our interest. We want something new to chase. We want something more exciting.
Yes.
What do you have to do? What do you think we can do, or a psychological point of view, from a point of view of a psychologist? What is this problem and how to deal with this?
See, again, this generation is very stimulus hungry. All the time we need something to stimulate us. And we are ourselves not very psychologically healthy most of the times. Either we have low self esteem, or we are struggling with, some kind of identity issues. And we are hoping that the other person will play the psychologist and will just correct everything in us. And all the time there will be something new, coming out of the relationship. But every relationship, like I said, goes through phases, from attraction to intimacy to actually then the realizing the real thing, and then getting disillusioned, and then growing on a path. So if you end it prematurely, you are not going to find that it grows into a beautiful thing. And this what you can do about it is to maintain the novelty in the situation. I mean, you both the partners have to be creative and look at different areas of their life, how they can explore, do different things together. These days, even with technology, you can even do yoga together, workouts together, any creative pursuits together. So it's all about helping the other person grow, helping them realize what is it that they need to explore within themselves.
Definitely, I think, ma'am, we need to evolve with each other to have a healthy relationship. Definitely. Ma'am, another question, that there's a lot of conversation around narcissistic partner, and what do you have to say? What are the traits to actually find out your partner is narcissistic? I think after breakup, we start calling all our partners, the same names. But actually, in a psychological point of view, what do you think are the, traits that you can find in a partner which can say that they are from that area?
In psychology, narcissism is usually related to a personality trait, which is when the person is too full of themselves. Yeah, they are in self-love. So all they can think about is themselves, and they are pretty selfish in the terms that they are not able to empathize with the other person and not consider their feelings. But before using this term, you have to be really careful. Is it that as soon as the other person started to ask for attention, you started to feel that he's a narcissist or she's a narcissist? So you have to choose the words very, very carefully. If you label somebody like that, then they have to fit certain criteria, and it has to be like a chronic thing. It's not that one time you felt that they were only thinking about themselves and they become narcissistic. Somebody who's narcissistic will always put you down in the relationship. And what happens initially with these people is, since they are so full of energy and so full of themselves, they end up sending out these like signals. And you get very attracted to this person initially, but after this initial period is over, you realize that this person is all about themselves. They want you to compliment them, they want you to just be the talk of the party, be the center of attention, and they don't let you come into the picture. In fact, they might be pointing out your faults and deficits all the time and making you feel small so that they can feel big about themselves. So this is really a pathological condition, but I think if you have to be pretty certain of what you're saying, and if you're open to seeking help, then you must visit a professional clinical psychologist or a psychologist who can actually tell you whether your partner is
Yes,
facing narcissism or not. Yeah.
definitely, ma'am. Coming to this, let's talk about the red flags in a relationship. What
Mhm.
are the red flags, which says a big no in a relationship, according to you?
Right. No, a relationship is something where there is a mutual connection and there is respect. The moment you realize that you're being emotionally battered or physically battered for some reason, that is a biggest red flag. And if you are being neglected, or if you are being used for something, to gain approval or some social status, if your needs are not being taken care of, if the person is never available for you, so there can be so many ways. But if you don't feel emotionally connected with the person any longer, or if you feel emotionally battered by them in any way, then that can be a red flag to look out for.
Okay. Ma'am, before we go to the questions that audience have for you, let's talk about, what is according to you a perfect relationship is. You're a psychologist, you have this experience and you've looked at so many different relationships. What according to you, constitute a perfect relationship?
Yeah, like I said, a perfect relationship has to be a good blend of love, respect, and care, you know. And also, sometimes it happens that one partner is more needy, they are more in the take position, while the other partner is more giving, even that can be a very healthy and a mature relationship. So, if the needs of one person are taken care of by the other and both are happy in that relationship, because some of us have this mothering tendency, nurturance and care, we all ooze out of love, and we just want to give love to the other person, and the other person is willing to take that love and attention, and that's beautiful. Or both of them should be getting this, getting something, giving something.
Mm.
When it happens that you are either only giving and the other person is only taking, or if somehow your self-esteem is being attacked in some way, or your own sense of person is being compromised, that is a unhealthy and a toxic relationship.
Top three, and we'll have one anonymous question also. Let's start. So the first question that we have is from Ritu Pandey. She asks, how can we manage to keep the spark of the relationship constant? Like we talked about people losing on interest. I think that's what she's pointing out.
No, again, you need to ask yourself, what is it that you're really looking for? What is the spark that you're talking about? I mean, that is something which is very subjective, and I'm not sure, whether the person themselves knows what they are talking about. If it is just novelty, it's not going to happen, because once you get to know the person, there can be familiarity and comfort, but there cannot be novelty with the person for the last 5 years,
Hmm.
right? It's just the attitude that you have and the things that you do for each other. So every time you see a person and see love in their eyes, it might be just a spark for you, or what is it that you're looking for, right? So it varies from relationship to relationship.
Now I'm talking about this. What according to you is love? When we're talking at romantic sense, where you say, we want the love to keep on blooming. We want the love to be there always. What is it?
See, I will just tell you a little bit about emotions. Okay, so emotion is just a physiological state of activity, right? So there is a stimulus and there is a physiological arousal in you. That's an emotion. If that physiological arousal is associated with a positive feeling, positive sensation, you say, I am in love. If it is associated with a negative sensation, you say, I don't like this, I'm anxious, or I hate this person.
Hmm.
So love is only a positive emotion that you feel. And a lot of people feel love and devotion towards God, a lot of people feel love towards themselves. So it's not that you always need somebody else to love is just a positive emotion. So if in the presence of somebody you feel happy emotions, we label that love.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that insight. I think we need to understand the different kinds of love, and it's not always flowers and roses. So definitely, and the next question is from Neil Datta. He asks, "Can a distance relationship be maintained? If yes, I want to know how, and maybe prepare for one."
Yeah, a long distance relationship can definitely be maintained, but both the people have to be ready for that and have to, ready for the sacrifices that have to be there. For example, you need to not have those expectations that one day we are going to meet, or when am I meeting this person, so tab tak let me just deal with this. So you have to be very clear on what is it that you're looking for. Is it just that you're looking for somebody to connect with, through technology? What does a relationship actually mean for you? So a long distance, there is no distance if you can see the person in front of you, and if you can actually empathize and feel what they are feeling, and you can share stuff, there is no distance. The distance is all here, right? But if you are the kind of person who's looking for a lot of physical intimacy and that kind of a thing, then it might become challenging, although not impossible.
One thing that I really want to talk about, people think today that physical proximity and physical involvement is a must in a relationship. What do you think? Is it like must, or it's a parameter that needs to be, there for you to be to understand are you compatible or not?
See, again, Maslow was a psychologist, right? His needs hierarchy is very famous. And he has talked about certain basic level needs, and then you go up till you go towards your own self actualization, right? So, physical needs are at the very bottom of the pyramid. Okay, they are physiological needs, and no doubt they are there. You can't deny them, but it cannot be the basis of a relationship, and it cannot be the basis of a healthy relationship. There are numerous relationships in which the physical factor is absent, and still it's a very healthy relationship based on mutual trust and companionship and just enjoying together. So, I mean, what do you
Relationships, that's
get?
what it was.
Yeah, so physical satisfaction is anyways momentary. You get satisfied in the moment, and then what happens after that? Right? You become even more needy, maybe.
One more. I think we need to. I think the generation needs to understand this. Before that, before these initial years, we didn't have that much access. The access that we have right now, even the freedom of engaging in such activities, not there. Now
Yes.
we feel because it's given to us, and we are the first generation who's having it. In so much quantity, we feel that this is the something. It's the most important parameter. I think for what you have said, people will have to think about it so that they can change this. Uh,
No, and they also need to think about how much social it is. Are you looking for it like as a social stamp that I'm in a relationship? What will my friends say if I'm not in a relationship? Or is this actually about you?
Definitely, ma'am. I think it needs to be about both the individuals in the relationship and how you personally feel. That's what I'm learning out from you. Ma'am, I have another question from Aditya. He's asking how to make the other person feel special. He's
Mm-hmm.
talking about a long distance relationship, and that's his question again. How to make somebody feel special in a long distance relationship?
Right. So again, I would like to ask him, what is the need behind making the other person feel special? What are you really looking for? But if you have to make the other person still feel special, I think it's the small, small things. If you are, just aware of the person's feelings and what they like, if you can just make them, give that to them, and if you can make the time they spend with you a very special time with quality conversation and all, I think it'll be they'll feel very, very special with you.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am. We have last in the anonymous question that we have is how do we know where to draw the line with respect to being there for the other person for they need us more right now and realizing that it's becoming toxic and maybe it needs spacing out.
See, that's a very good question, in fact, and one of the reasons that relationship becomes toxic is that you put yourself in the background and you almost lose yourself in the relationship, and it's always about the other person. So if the relationship has to be healthy, you have to take care of your own identity and your own self-esteem as a person. In fact, it's very important that you develop your life also as separate from the person, because the minute due to any reason if that relationship ends, people get destroyed, they have nervous breakdowns and they go into depression. So if you want to be in a healthy relationship, you have to first take care of yourself, only then you can take care of the other person. And if you feel that you are being emotionally battered, I think it's time to talk to the partner or talk take some professional help, or just think of getting out of such a relationship.
I'm talking about the dynamics here. I really want to ask you, do you think a person who has been in a relationship, two people who have been in love but now no more in a relationship, can they have a healthy relationship after breaking up? Is it possible?
Why not? But if there is things like possessiveness, so you cannot see the person with somebody else, or you have all these memories which are like traumatic for you, then it might be difficult. But otherwise, if you can put the past behind, and if both the people have grown out of it, there might be some healthy flirting and just friendship. And I don't see any reason why two people who have been partners earlier cannot be friends. In fact, friendship is the very basis of any relationship, whether it's even marriage for that matter.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll definitely would love to have a conversation about marriage with you. But all the youngsters watching, I think what you need to take away from this conversation that we just had is that, relationships are way more than your physical proximity. They are way more than, feeling good about yourself. There's much more that it goes around and can affect yourself. A psychologist talking to you about relationship is just giving you an insight about what is going on in your life right now. So whosoever is listening, I think please take notes. And Dr. Nimisha, thank you in for joining us. It was wonderful to have this
Thank
conversation.
you so much.
Would love to talk about different topics. I think this was more about the youngsters who are trying to understand what is a relationship, how can I find one, and the long distance dynamics that they are forced to take forward. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed. Thank you.